Every year, organizations invest billions of dollars in transformation initiatives, Agile adoptions, digital transformations, AI deployments, ERP implementations. And every year, the overwhelming majority of them fail. They don't fail because the methodology was wrong. They don't fail because the technology was flawed. They failed because of a phenomenon I call the transformation illusion. The transformation illusion is what happens when leadership adopts the vocabulary and rituals of transformation while actively protecting the exact industrial age environment the transformation was meant to replace. It's the phenomenon where the phrase, "we want to do it our way," becomes the most expensive sentence in corporate history. It is the empowerment illusion in reverse. Instead of saying, "I empower you," while keeping all the approval chains, leadership says, "we're transforming while maintaining every command and control structure that makes genuine transformation impossible." You can't install a new operating system on a machine that refuses to reboot. Your last transformation confirmed it. To understand why the transformation illusion is so persistent, we have to look at what happens before the transformation even begins. As an engineer, I was taught a fundamental rule. You must understand the problem you're trying to solve before you start throwing solutions around. But organizations do the exact opposite. They fall into what I call the solution trap. The solution trap is the tendency to select a solution before defining the problem. An executive reads an article on a flight or talks to a peer at a conference and decides, "we need AI" or "we need Agile." "We need to be more efficient" is an aspiration. It is not a problem definition. When you do not know what the problem you're trying to solve is, how do you know when you've actually solved it? You don't. You can only measure success by the appearance of implementation. You count the software licenses purchased. You count the training sessions attended. You measure activity because you cannot measure value. I spent 10 years as a pre-sales consultant watching this pattern play out at an industrial scale. It is the most expensive and thoroughly documented instance of the solution trap in enterprise history. So why do leaders do this? Why do they buy the solution without defining the problem? Because defining the problem defines looking in the mirror. Eli Goldratt, the creator of the Theory of Constraints, wrote a book called Necessary But Not Sufficient. His central insight was profound. Technology and methodology are necessary conditions for transformation, but they're not sufficient. The sufficient condition, the one organizations continuously refuse to provide, is a willingness to change the management environment itself. When an organization buys a massive enterprise software platform, they eventually discover that the software standard processes do not match how the organization actually works. At that moment, the organization faces a choice. They can change how they work to match the software's best practices. That requires a massive shift in leadership identity. It requires giving up control. Or they can spend millions of dollars customizing the software to replicate their existing broken processes. Guess which one they choose? Almost every time they customize the software, they spend millions of dollars to ensure that nothing actually changes. This is the psychological root of the transformation illusion. It's not a failure of understanding, it's a failure of identity. When a leader's career was built on industrial age behaviors, on being the hero, on controlling the flow of information, on making every decision, challenging those behaviors isn't presenting new data. It's attacking the story they tell themselves about why they deserve to be in the room. So how do we break the illusion? How do we distinguish real organizational change from organizational theater? We use an objective and personal standard. We use the three-way test. Before you approve the next transformation initiative, before you buy the next AI platform, ask 3 questions. Does this change improve flow? Does it remove bottlenecks and allow work to move faster? Second, does this change improve feedback? Does it make it safer and faster for the system to correct itself? And third, does this change accelerate continuous learning? Does it give people the time and space to experiment? If the answer to those 3 questions is no, then it's not a transformation, it's theater. The transformation illusion is documented evidence that leadership has not yet accepted that creating the environment for success is their job. Every failed Agile transformation, every AI implementation that measured keystrokes instead of value, these are not indictments of the tools. They are a record of leadership team that was still waiting for someone else to build the environment they were hired to build. You have the authority to stop the theater. You have the authority to define the problem. You have the authority to change the environment. The only question is whether you have the courage to do it. Thank you.